Hey, when do you plan on like finishing your books, especially where you get to a point where you like you done writing?
It,
Like, as far as the books that we've been talking about
I'm
over
I'm
the years.
I'm looking at. I'm glad you asked me that because I have a deadline for myself.
'Cause I thought about that though, like over the past few days when we wasn't talking. I was like, I wonder when David's gonna be like, I'm done. I'm not gonna add anymore or anything. I'm just gonna be just, finalize it and put it out there whenever you do.
Well, what I'm doing now is I'm filling up the gaps when it comes to Sunny, and Sunny is going to be complete before my birthday.
Oh, dang. Well, you only got a month and a half, well, 2 months now.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I want to hurry up and finish Sunny is because of that other book that I want to work on that's based upon social engineering, where you got this real evil / good villain that Thomas is dealing with, and I love the character Thomas, and so I'm really excited about writing Thomas in regards to this character, because actually I was sharing some information with this brother Jabbar Holland based on dialogue for that story that I already wrote down. I just copied and pasted and put it in Facebook form. It was up under this Bruce Lee picture. Because that story needs to definitely be written, because it's too important. And when you're a person that understands exactly what's going on in a place like Chicago in regards to social engineering, where you have a whole bunch of people running around actually thinking that they thinking with their own thoughts, when they fail to realize they've been programmed ever since kindergarten.
They ain't never had an original thought in their life.
Never.
Can you imagine that they've been living 40, 50, 60, 70 years and never having no real thoughts of your own? That's tragic.
And that's based pretty much on the conversation that Thomas is going to have with this guy at the opera. And you remember when I was telling you that when Thomas leaves, he's going to feel so violated. And when he goes home, even though that whole meeting, he felt like it would be best to leave it classified from his wife, even though the guy told him that it wasn't classified. He is going to go home and he's just going to open up to Patricia and tell her, I feel like all of my life it seems like I haven't had an independent thought of my own. He said, not even an independent choice. He said, even my choices have been guided. He's going to explain to her that he feels that his whole education and his whole life in general was manipulated and altered into who and what he is today, regardless of the harsh times that he had with his father, regardless of how he wasn't a good boxer because his mind was always on the police force, when that mind going towards the police force was being altered ever since kindergarten.
Right.
And so when he got into boxing, of course he was going to fail, because your mind was already programmed and conditioned to go in another direction other than boxing. See, that boxing was his independent desire, but somebody else had implanted another objective in his mind to pretty much serve them.
Right.
And he's going to explain to Thomas, I led you here to even sit next to me. Everything in his life led up to that point. And what's a trip is that, like I was telling you before, when he leaves, what's going to frustrate him mostly is that he can't even touch this dude. It's nothing that he can do to him. He can't arrest him. Here's a man who was basically telling him that he helped create a political and psychological and social environment that has caused death and destruction, and also some very good things that help people all at the same time. And he's admitting to creating an atmosphere that caused a whole lot of death and confusion, but there's no proof that he had any hand in it. You know what I'm saying?
He was basically a ghost.
Yeah. He exists, but he doesn't exist. You know, he's standing there talking face to face with a man who really doesn't even exist. Doesn't exist. And the only person who knew that he existed was the character that's based on Daryl Trisby, who committed suicide. So he's a character that Thomas is gonna somewhat have evidence to arrest him, but he's not in the power to do it. Because he's got evidence, but he can't rationalize his evidence without making himself look like he's insane. And if he makes himself try to rationalize it to make himself look insane, then there's a very good chance that he'll be kicked out of the force and he'll lose his pension and everything. And in the process, he'll lose everything, including his marriage. So everything is set up to the point to where he can't touch this man who has been touching everybody for the past 27 years, 27 to 30 years. Can't touch him. And he'll never be able to touch him, never. And so he's wickedly brilliant.
How long do you think it'll take for you to finish that book once you get started on it?
I don't think it'll take me too long, because of the fact that I know so much about social engineering, and I don't have to develop Thomas, because Thomas is already developed. Patricia is already developed. Your character, I mean, you're already developed. You know, so it's not going to take me long. It's not going to take me long. See, because it takes you time to develop characters, and sometimes it takes you up to 4 different chapters to fully develop one character, and then sometimes it takes you longer to develop certain, other characters, and sometimes you over create certain characters, and then sometimes you got to go back and cut the character down a little bit, because certain characters can't stand out too strongly.
Correct.
Some characters have to be left mediocre. But this story is it's going to be very this case anyway is going to be very psychological, more psychological for Thomas. And the way that he's going to be dealing with Thomas, he's even going to tell Thomas, you find yourself being more psychological about this case than emotional. And he said, it's because I designed it that way. You're more psychological because you're a curious man and you like to get to the bottom of things. And so by him knowing that about Thomas, according to his psychological profile, he knows how to deal with Thomas. Because he knows that Thomas is not that much of an emotional man no more, because his father has already passed on. And so he's less emotional, and he done got married, so his life is more settled now. And so by his father passed on, he reconciled his differences with his father. And he's settled now. So that means he's not hurting as much. And Patricia is his balance, and she gives him peace. And so he's not as emotional as he was anymore. But due to the fact that he wants to do a great job and he uses his mind and his intelligence a whole lot to be a detective, he's more psychological. So if you want to get to Thomas, you have to get to Thomas psychological. And you have to push him psychological to the edge to where he almost becomes emotional. You know, you bring Thomas to the brink of getting ready to be emotional, and then you call Thomas to your attention. And you tell him what he's dealing with. And you tell him that he doesn't have anything to do with what he's dealing with, and there's nothing that he can do about it. You just have to go. He just has to go along to get along.
Right.
And the chief of police, Greg Myers, is going to be in this story, but it's only going to be in this story on one part. You know, now most people would say, well, you know, I would think that by Thomas almost being the chief of police, but see, this other chief, Greg Myers, who told Thomas that he was going to eventually be the chief of police, he went ahead and retired, and somebody else became the chief until Thomas becomes the chief. Now, most people would say, well, I would think by this being an extension story from Dawn of Redemption, simply because it has about 3 of the characters from Dawn of Redemption, you know, most people would say, well, you know, I would think that the chief of police, Greg Myers, would have passed. Nope, he's still alive. He's just retired, and he's like a father to Thomas and a mentor at the same time. Yeah, he's like a mentor to him. So when he goes to his home and talk to him about it, then he's going to give Greg Myers is going to give him some advice to let him know you can only go so far with this because of the information that you've accumulated is going to be extremely limited, and you're going to always run into brick walls. And he's going to tell him, whenever you keep running into brick walls, it's best to just stop. You know, because you're dealing with a political force that extends the city council. It extends.
They don't want to keep the cops either.
What's that?
I said they don't want to kill their own.
I can't hear you.
I said they don't mind killing their own. You hear me?
Yeah, barely.
I said they don't mind killing their own.
Mm-hmm.
They'll kill cops. They don't care anybody to tell the truth.
No, because they're not emotional. It's all about power and intellect. You know, because when you live in a life like that, there's a very good chance that you're going to, you know, bump into some betrayal along the way. And so you can't be emotionally attached to anybody, because that would make you compromise if you have to get rid of somebody. That'll make you compromise. Well, you know, I'll give him another chance, and it just might be that chance where he get you. So if you feel as though somebody's in endangerment, and if you are in power to actually end it, then end it. So it's going to be story's going to be a trip. I'm gonna have to brush up on some of the books that I've read from UNLV, because I still have all of the books those professors gave me. So I'm gonna have to re-brush up on a few things to make sure it's written correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So that when now if it's one thing that I'm gonna have to do is I'm going to have to balance it out to the point to where it will be like college reading with the character, the mysterious character, but Thomas and everybody else is going to be just normal. People will be able to just go right through them. But this mysterious character and all of the things about how social engineering works and stuff like that, people are going to have to take their time and read that, because I'm not going to water down anything. If you don't get it, you just don't get it. Put the book down.
Right.
Because I'm not going to water down anything. I don't do that. Could you put that in layman's terms? No. You just have to keep reading it till you get it. And if you don't get it, put the book down and find you something else to read. Because if you're interested enough, then you will study up on it. I mean, even if you have to sit with a dictionary to get it. But I think that that's going to be one of my most controversial books. And I think that if anybody gets a hold of that in, like, say, Hollywood, it's going to have to be some either an older guy who's very much familiar with that, or a highly intelligent young guy like that brother Denzel works with all the time. The one that helps him do the Equalizer movie.
Oh, you talking about him? Ashton, yeah, it is real life. His name is Ashton Thunder.
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing with that story, it's got the situation based on Daryl Trisby. I just haven't found a third party situation that Thomas is going to be involved in, but I do know it's going to have something to do with some politician that works in the city council that's going to be accused of something like a murder or something like that. That Thomas is going to be that's going to be his focus, and then somewhere along the line, his friend who is based on Daryl Trisby is going to meet up with him, and he's going to be looking real bad, and he's going to tell him how his life has been and stuff like that. And he's going to give Thomas some information about this man, and he's going to turn Thomas on to him. And then once he finds out that his friend took his own life, then he's going to try to look into it, and that's when your character is going to come in and going to try to help him figure this thing out, when all at the same time, all of y'all investigation is being monitored. It's all being monitored.
About Mr. Shadow.
Yep, it's being monitored, and it's even being controlled. And it's being controlled to the degree where it's going to sit Thomas right beside this dude. And it's going to be kind of hard for Thomas to determine anything physical about this man other than his face. And he's not going to have a lot of light, because they're inside of an opera, up in a booth And the opera's not very, lit up, but they're sitting down. So Thomas don't even know if the man is heavy set. He doesn't know how tall he is. He doesn't know if he's thin or slim or whatever, because he's never gonna stand up. He's just gonna be sitting next to him, talking to him. So even though he can determine a description, he still is going to leave without one. Well, how did he look? Well, I couldn't really tell his nationality. Well, how tall was he? I don't know. He didn't stand up. Was he heavy set? I don't know. I mean, all the time I was talking to him, we were sitting down. Because you remember when I told you he's going to have a young lady meet him downstairs, and she's going to walk him up and down. This man is never going to stand up. So it's kind of like Daniel. When people saw Daniel, they wasn't able to tell what his nationality was. It's going to be the same thing with this guy. I mean, because Thomas is going to say he's physically mysterious. I can't. When I look at his face, I pretty much see everybody. So I can't tell you how he looks. He looks like you. He looks like me. He looks like everybody. But this guy is a strange mixture. He's like black and Indian and Creole and all that different stuff. Because I know the young lady that's gonna guide Thomas up to the balcony, she's gonna be Creole.
Right.
She's gonna be like a now when I see her, she looks like almost like a short-haired version of a Beyonce, a shorter hair version. She looks almost like a Beyonce type Creole girl. Kind of tall for a woman. She's like 5'11". No, she's not. She's about 5'5" or something like that. 5'5" or 5'6". Real beautiful woman, got a nice petite body, real classy dress on. She's got some jewelry on, but she doesn't go overboard with the jewelry. It's very eloquent.
Right.
And when he gets up there, he can tell he's sitting there with a suit on, like a tuxedo suit on, but he never stands up, and he's wearing black, so you really can't see anything. You really can't see anything other than his the face, and you really can't see a whole lot of it because of by the opera being on. The opera singing, and you got different shades of lights, and sometimes little flickers of lights flashing and stuff like that. Because what I'm gonna have to do is determine what opera it's gonna be, but it's gonna have a orchestra and a choir, and it's gonna have a male singer and a female singer. And it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be some beautiful music. I talk about it so much because I want to start writing on it so bad, because I know so much about it, and I know that I'm going to really enjoy writing it. Cause,
when do you think you'll start writing it after your birthday or before?
Oh, after my birthday, because I'm gonna be done with Sonny before my birthday. I mean, I'm determined whether I think that it's perfected or not. And if I feel like it's not perfected, I'm still going to stop writing on it and start on this other one. But Sonny is simple. It's a very simple story. It's just Sonny is violent. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's violent in a real humiliating way. That's why it's hard. It's difficult to write it. You know, that's why I want to go ahead and get it out the way. You know, because my intellect has broadened, and it's Sonny has become a bit simple now. I'm ready to expand to something more intellectual and more political. You know, I'm ready to expand now. Plus, most likely close down this Facebook.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And I'll probably just have a channel strictly for my books. But as far as dealing openly with the public, that's dangerous once you start coming up, because people see you coming up and they start lying on you and all that. So in order to make it, you just got to cut. You have to cut the general public off. You have to isolate yourself. Because, you know, that's what they're doing over in London, England now. You know, the provinces over there are starting to further isolate themselves.
Mhm.
Because they're further starting to isolate themselves away from the general public, because evidently something is getting ready to go down out there that they know that it would be best for them to have less contact with the general public.
Right.
And I see America doing that in the next 5 years. I don't really see America doing it right now because there's too much stupid stuff going on right now. However, it is going in that direction, because you have someone like a Trump in office, and then you have someone coming behind him like a Hillary in office, and they get ready to tear this country up, and it's going to take some outside elements in order to fix it. And I'm thinking that Great Britain is going to have to step in along with China to try to fix all of this. And in the process, they're going to gain control the same way they do in Africa. It's going to happen right here in America. And I believe that's the reason why they're allowing Trump to do what he's doing. And what these politicians care about the general public suffering don't mean anything. That's another reason why it really doesn't matter to them who is in office in this next election. You can either leave Donald Trump, ignorant ass, in office, or you can put destructive Hillary Clinton in office. But one way or the other, America's going straight to hell.
Yep, and there ain't no way to save it. A lot of people be talking about how they got faith for this nation that they can turn around. I can't see that.
No. It's not going to happen. I think that movie, V for Vendetta, at the very beginning, when the guy was talking about how America hit rock bottom, I think that's exactly what the dialogue is going to be in a whole lot of various countries outside of America. Everybody's going to be talking about America's fall. And that's even in the book of Revelations.
Yep.